Bravo, boss, bravo. Today we're going to be focusing on the functions, on the keywords, better say keywords, that is the try, except, and finally keywords. My name is Sullivan. I'm the creator of the IT world, and you are here on Chapter 8 for this is the last episode for you to be able to pass your PCEP certification and become a Python entry-level certified programmer. So let's start with today's video. So I'm going to start by defining a function, and this function I'm going to call it divide. Divide, like I said on the other episodes, I show how you can define a function. So the way you define a function is def, the name of the function. It doesn't matter what name it is. In my case, I'm just going to name it divide because it'll be a division, parenthesis, and then I do colon. So today we're going to focus on try, except, and finally keywords. If you are here on the channel, subscribe right now because this is the last episode of the completely free PCEP certification, guys. This is a completely free PCEP certification, guys. Completely free for you guys. So today we're going to be focusing on try. So we're going to start try. And then the way I define the try is like this. It's very simple. Try. I just have to say try. That's all I have to say, try. But what exactly is try? What exactly is try? Let's put a comment right here so you guys know what try does. So when I put a comment, I start with hashtag. So if you're new here, subscribe. And what try does, I'm going to put it right here. Try is basically a piece of code that might cause an error. So we're going to say code that might cause an error. For example, when would I use try? Let's say I have like 100 or 200 lines of code. And in those 300 lines of code, I want to make something that might break my code. This is exactly the perfect time where I will use try, except, or finally, because I don't want to break my whole code. Let's say I have 300 lines of code, 400, 2000 lines of code, and I don't want to break the code. I use try. So, okay, so I have try defined right there for you guys. And then now I have, this is called the space between here and here is called indentation. But now we have double indentation. Pay attention, double indentation, guys. So now we have double indentation. And what we're going to do here, we're going to declare variables. And I'm going to call this variable numerator equals float, parenthesis. When I call a variable, I have to specify either if it's a floating value or integer value. In this case, I want to be floating just because of what we're going to do. So it's going to be floating. So it's going to be, we're going to say input. With the input is a function of Python that allows me to type whatever I need to type onto the program. So we're going to say numerator equals float, parenthesis input. And then we're going to tell the user, enter the numerator. Very simple, variable defined, very simple. We have the try function right here. We have numerator float, input, enter the numerator. So we're going to say, we're going to copy, and then we're going to paste this because I don't want to type it 2 times. So I'm going to say copy pasta. And then I'm going to change this variable to denominator. And then it will be the same. We're going to say a floating value, which, like I said on the beginning of this free completely Python course, it explains everything about variables and how we define like our floating, strings, integers. So on the beginning of this episode, this free completely PCEP certification for Python, I explain all of this. So we're saying denominator equals a floating value input, enter the denominator. We can also say a key right here, program that will divide 2 numbers. So basically we're going to do a program that will divide 2 numbers, but using the try function in case let's say, like I said, I have like 300, 400 lines of code and I don't want to break it. So we're doing exactly that. So program that will divide 2 numbers. So you guys know what exactly we're doing. And then we have our try function. We have our numerator. We have a floating value. We have the denominator. We have a floating value for the user. And then we're going to say a variable called result. Result equals, we're going to say numerator divided by the denominator. Basically the numerator divided by the denominator. Simple, guys. Simple, nothing crazy. Just numerator divided by the denominator. I have my try function. I have declared and everything. It's done. It's done. There's nothing else I need to do. That's it. So now what I want to teach you is the except. Except has to be at the same level of line of my try. So it has to be, the indentation level has to be at the same level of the try. Every time I do try, I have to include except. Remember this, guys. Every time I do try, I have to include except. So what I'm going to do, I do except colon, guys. Remember to do colon. Colon is very essential because if I don't do colon, it will make a mistake for me. So except, and I'm gonna specify another keyword. This keyword is value error. What value error does, it allows me, like, for example, let's say you ask the user, hey, enter one number, and the user enters a name. Instead of typing the numerator, enters a name, then it will tell the user, hey, this is wrong. So what we're gonna say, we're gonna print. I explained at the beginning of this complete free Python course what print does. So we're gonna say print. We're gonna say error. Enter. You must enter a valid number. Let's say you must enter a valid number. You must enter a valid number. Simple, guys. If the user does whatever they want, we're gonna tell them error. You must enter a valid number. Simple. Simplicity. Error. You must enter a valid number. So now I have my my try and my except. Basically, I'm gonna put a comment here. So we're gonna say except, we're gonna say except, and what the except does. So except, basically what it does, it triggers, what this is gonna do, it triggers if the user types a later, we're gonna say types a later instead of a number. Let's say I ask the user, hey, type a number, and the user types a letter or a word. We're gonna say more specific, a word. Or let's say letter, word, whatever, however you guys want to call it, letter or word. So we have the print except value error, print you must enter a valid number. So we're saying, hey, please enter a valid number. You know, if the user does that, we're gonna say enter a valid number. So we can declare as many excepts as we want. So we're gonna declare another except, remember, and I'm gonna call this except, this is called the zero division error. The zero division error, what it does is allows you to check if the user enters a zero. So if the user enters a zero, it's gonna be an error. So we're gonna say what the zero division is gonna do. We're gonna do print, parenthesis, colon. Remember I specify colon, guys, just to, every time I do my print, I wanna show what I'm printing. So we're gonna say, you cannot divide by zero, simple. You cannot divide by zero. If you just got here to the stream, subscribe to the IT World immediately. If you just got here, subscribe to the IT World immediately, because this is the last episode of the complete Python certification program for you to be able to take your Python certification and become a Python certification for free, guys. This is I'm doing completely free just for you guys, just for the chat that are out there. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Okay, so I did the except. We have the except right here. We have the except. Let's make another comment just so people can see what this except does. Except, and then we're gonna say triggers if the user types a zero number. So what the second except is gonna do is, like, for example, I ask the user, hey, give me a number, but the user types a zero. In math, we know that we cannot divide by zero because it's gonna cause an error. If I divide a number by zero, let's say I divide 1 divided by 0, it's basically an error, guys. I cannot divide by 0. This is something that you should know in your very basic math classes. Pay attention, guys. Pay attention. Okay, so we got that. We're not gonna run it yet. And then what I'm gonna do an else statement. Else statement, guys. Else statement is gonna run no matter what. No matter my try, is gonna run it. So else, remember, every time I do a keyword, I specify what it does. So else, and then what we're gonna say, we're gonna do print, and then I want to print the result of the division is colon, and then I specify in comma, and then I want to specify whatever I have stored in my result. So I want to print whatever I have stored in my result. So in my result, I have in this result, I have the stored numerator plus denominator. So whatever I type, so we're going to call the function. In order for me to call the function, I have to call the function. So the function is divide. So we're going to call it divide and then parentheses. In my other episode in chapter 7, I explained everything about how to declare functions. In this case, I'm using a function to run a specific code, and then inside there, we're running the try, except, and else. We're going to run it just so you guys can see. And then if you guys see over here, I have my code, and then it's asking us, enter the numerator. We're going to say that the numerator is 6. Enter the denominator. We're going to say that the denominator is 6. And then now we have the result of the division is 1.0. But let's say I wanna delete this 1.0 and I want a full number, because right now I have a floating number. So in order for me to fix this, I can use backslash. So I can use backslash to specify that this is that I want the result to be an integer number. So we're gonna clear this. We're gonna run it again. And then enter numerator, we're gonna say 5, enter the denominator 5. And I still have a 1.0. The result of the division is 1.0. Interesting. So we're gonna clear this. Let's run it again. It should enter the denominator 5. We're still getting a 1.0, but in theory it should delete the oh, I see why. This is because we're using floating values. I see why. This is because we're using floating values. So for example, right here, I'm using floating. But if I would change this to integer values, so let's say just to integer values. Let's change this. Let's run it again. Enter the numerator. We're going to say 5. Enter the numerator 5. And now we have the result of the division is 1. But that was because we had floating values specified on our program. So as you guys see, I explained how exactly would it run this. But now let's say when would it happen the except value error. So let's run it. And let's say that the user, instead of typing a number, he types, so we're asking the user, enter a number. But let's say he types sensational. Let's say the user types sensational. And then you see what our code did? It did error. You must enter a valid number. So it trigger our except function. It trigger our except value error because it type a value, something that I wasn't asking for that. I wasn't asking for that. I wasn't asking for what he typed. So I wasn't asking for what he typed. So we're gonna run it again just so you guys can see. So enter. Then I'm gonna move this a little up. Enter the numerator. And let's say the user types, you are not my dad. Let's say the user types, you are not my dad. Let's say the user types, you're not my dad. You're not my dad. We hit enter, and then it says error. You must enter a valid number. So we clear the screen. So as you guys see, it triggered our except value. It triggered our except value error. So the code is working good. Code is running good. So let's say now I want to trigger my 0 division error. So, okay. So we're going to go up. We're going to run it so you guys can see. And then enter the numerator. We're going to say 0. So remember, I cannot divide by 0. So 0, enter the denominator 0. You cannot divide by 0, guys. Remember, on Python, you cannot divide by 0. Remember that. So it did do what we were asking for do. So 0 division error, you cannot divide by 0. So it did exactly what we're doing. But let's say now I want to do something and I want to call the function finally. Finally, guys. So we're going to clear this. We're going to minimize this. We're going to minimize this so you guys can see better. I'm going to move this a little up. And as you guys see, I have teach you try. I have teach you except. I teach you another except. I teach you the else that no matter what is going to run. And now I'm going to teach you finally. And let's put a comment what finally does. And finally, let me put it right here. So comment finally will always run at the end of the keywords. At the end of the keywords, keywords or functions. So finally will always run no matter what, guys. Finally is always going to run no matter what. So once I finish this, it's going to run. So finally, remember I specify colon, enter, and what I want to say print parenthesis colon, and then I want to say the program is done. Oh, the program is completed. Completed. The program is. If you guys have questions, throw them in the chat. If you guys want me to fix something of this, if you're not understanding something, put the question on the chat. Put the and then I'll go and then read the question and then answer your question. So as you guys see now, I have numerator, integer, and then denominator. So we're gonna run it just so you guys can see what happens. I'm gonna move this a little up so you guys can see. And then enter numerator, we're gonna say that the numerator is 3. Enter denominator, we're gonna say 3. And then as you guys see, it printed out the program is completed. As you guys see, it did what we asked him to do, which did the program is completed. So it actually works. So we're gonna clear the screen. We're gonna minimize this. If you're here, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. That's all I ask for, guys. That's all I ask. Subscribe. That's all I ask. I teach for free. I make this course for free. All I ask for you is to subscribe. That's all. That's all, guys. So now that I teach you that, I'm gonna delete all of this, and I'm gonna teach you again the try function just in case you didn't learn. But this time we're gonna say we're gonna delete all of that, and then we're gonna do multiplication, multiply. So multiply parentheses. Remember on chapter 7. On chapter 7, I explained how to declare, defining how to define functions. So in chapter 7, I teach you how to define functions. So in this case, we're going to do multiply. So remember, we want to do try, because what try is going to do is going to allow us to see if we have a code that we might think will be wrong. Try checks if a code is wrong, or I think the code can be wrong, or I think the code can be wrong, and I don't want to break my program. So that's basically what try does. So try, we have the indentation, then we're going to do another indentation, and then we're going to say num1 equals. I like to declare my variables like with underscore. I think it's more professional. So when you guys declare the variables, I think it's very professional to declare with underscore in Python. So we're going to say a floating value, parentheses, input, parentheses, and then enter a number. So simple, try, parentheses, enter a number. So we're going to copy paste. We want to make our code easy. So this fell out of our try. We want to align this with this one. So we want to make sure that it's on the same exact level of the indentation level. So we have two variables declared. We have declared variable num1 and variable num2. Simple, simplicity. And then what we're gonna do here, we're gonna make sure this is on the same level, and then we're gonna say result equals num1 times num2 plus 6, 7. No matter what, this result is gonna be always add the multiplication, and it's gonna add 67. So to be more specific, we're gonna put this in parentheses. So that way it does. For Python, it would always do parentheses first. So if I don't specify parentheses, it's gonna start with the multiplication. So I want to start whatever is on parentheses first, and then add 67. So that's why I put the parentheses. So I put the parentheses just to specify that add 67 at the end. So now I remember every time I do try, I have to use except. I cannot only run try without except. If I do try, I have to do except. So remember, try, what try does is a piece of code that I think can be wrong or can break my code. So that's why I use try. So except, this triggers something. So except triggers if triggers something always. We're going to say trigger something always. So except always triggers something. So if you have questions, throw them out there in the comments. Right now what we're doing is we're doing a basic program explaining try and except for your pickups. Why you're adding 67, bro? Because 6-7, bro, 6-7. You know 6-7, bro, 6-7. This is we're adding 6-7 just for, we can add whatever number, but I think 6-7 big boss is the number that is on trending right now. That's why I added 6-7. But in reality, this shouldn't matter. Like this shouldn't matter. So we're just gonna leave it. If you know a number that we can add, throw in the comments. So we have to delete this. There's no reason why I'm adding 6-7. It just came to my mind. But because I think it's on the trending that will multiply two numbers and add 67 and add 67. You know, that's the reason, because 6-7. No, there's no reason. So I just said it like try, because I think that way people will actually watch the stream. I think the best way to learn is by have some fun. You know, we learn by having fun. We don't want to make this like boring and stuff. So that's why I add numbers that can be interesting and people like. So, but in reality, there's no reason, because, you know. So we're gonna say, remember, we have the except value error. Remember, value error. So we're gonna print, and then we're gonna say enter an acceptable number. We're gonna say enter an acceptable number. So I'm gonna show you what happens if I run it without calling the function. And as you guys see, I run the program and nothing happened. Why is this? If you guys know why nothing happened when I run the program, post it on the comments. But I run the program and nothing happens. If you know why nothing happens, and this is because I didn't call my function. Like I said, I already specified functions on the other episode, so I have to call my function in order to call this program. So we're going to say multiply. So now I'm calling my function. So now I'm calling every single piece of code that is inside of here. I'm calling it. So I'm calling every single piece of code that is here. I teach that on the other episodes. So if you guys see now, I have enter a number 5 plus 5, but it didn't do anything because it did do this, but I'm not telling it print. You know, I'm not telling it, oh, print the result. So print this. I'm not telling anything. So for example, I could say, let's do some testing and let's see what will happen if I do print parentheses. We can do a formatter function. So this is called formatter function. When I do the F and then the parentheses is called a formatter function. The result of the multiplication is, we're going to say this. We're going to say curly brackets to call our function. So we're going to say result. And then we're doing some testing just to see what happens. So we're going to run it. Enter number 5. Enter number 5. The result of the multiplication is 92.0. And this is correct. This is correct, guys. Why is this correct? Because when I multiply 5 times 5 is 25 plus 67 is 92. But remember, we're getting 92.0, and this is because I have floating values. But for example, if I would do integer values, integer value, and then I will run it again. And then I'm going to show you, I'm going to move up so you guys can see. Enter a number 5. Oh, I put 54 by accident, but 337. So yes, it's because the 67 big boss. So yeah, plus 67. So we're going to clear this. We're going to clear this. And then inside this, let's say I want to do another result. So we're going to say result 2 underscore result underscore 2 equals parenthesis num1 num underscore 1 divided by num underscore 2 num underscore 2 num underscore 2 plus 6 7 plus, and I'm going to show you how you combine the formatted functions. So as you guys see, I have this printed. I printed this, and then it gives us 337. But let's say I want to print this. I want to print both of them. So I have my formatter function right here, and then I can do the result of the division is, and then I can say this, and then I can call the variable result 2. So you guys are going to see exactly what happens when I do this formatted function inside our tribe. So as you guys see, I have my this result 1 and then result 2, but I want to print everything on a single line. I want to print every single thing on a single line using the tribe in case, so that way it doesn't break our code. So we're going to run it, and then we're going to move this up so you guys can see what's happening. So I'm going to move this a little bit down. Enter a number. We're going to say 67. Enter a number, 67. And then the result of the multiplication is 4556, and the result of the division is 68.0. So as you guys see, I was able to combine a multiplication and a division by adding the 2 with the formatted function. As you guys see, I was able to combine the formatted function using this. I was able to print this with my try code. But let's say we run it again, and then we say enter a number, and let's say we type 667. So I'm typing 67. In reality, I'm typing 67, which is 67, but I'm declaring it as a verb. I'm declaring it as a string. So I'm hitting enter. Enter an acceptable number. Enter an acceptable number. But 67 is an acceptable number. Why? Why it didn't work, guys? Why when I type 67, it asks me enter an acceptable number? For everyone that is out there in the comments, subscribe to the channel. This is completely free for you guys. All I ask is subscribe. If you are here in the channel, all I ask is subscribe. So if you know why when I say 67, it asks me enter an acceptable number, post it on the comments. Post it on the comments, but I'm going to clear this. And basically, it is because 67, when I type 67, I type it as a string. Yes, it is a word. It is a word and not a number, but it is called a string, and this is why I call it like that. So now, as you guys see, we did that. So our accept value is working. So our accept value, I just wanted to see that accept value is working. And then we're going to do a final. Remember, I teach the finally. 1 second, guys. 1 second. So remember, I did the finally. So we're going to do finally. Finally, I'm going to move this a little up so you guys can see. And then I'm going to minimize this. So remember, I specify colon, enter. And then I have the double indentation. And then remember, the finally is always going to run no matter what. Print. Finally, I am always going to run. And then I'm going to say Forrest Gump. I'm always going to run Forrest Gump. Classic. Forrest Gump has nothing to do with here, but we wanna run it on this code, Forrest Gump. Then I'm gonna do another result. And then this is gonna be result underscore 3 equals parenthesis num underscore 1 divided by, no, we have multiplication, division, let's say plus num underscore 3 plus 67. Remember, we're doing the plus 67, and then we're gonna do the result 4. So we're gonna copy pasta, guys. Result 4 result 4, as you guys probably are thinking, is going to be, we have multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Very simple. So you guys can see everything that is doing on my try code. So the result of the multiplication is parentheses result. The result of the division is parentheses result 2. And then we're going to say this. We're going to copy pasta. I like to make things easy. So we're going to do Control C and then Control V. It's getting too long. So the result of the division is, wait, I think it's too long. I think it's way too long. The result of the division is result 2. So I think it's getting too long. So wait a second. Wait a minute. I don't like when when the line exceeds the screen. So let's say if we can fix this. So let's say if we can fix this, because I want to print all the results, but I think it's too long to print all the results, guys. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do another print. So we're gonna do print. We're gonna do another line. So we're gonna do another line just so you guys can see exactly what happens. And then same, we're gonna do another formatted function. So formatted function colon the result of the addition is, and then I specify my curly brackets, remember, because we're running everything that is inside the try function. So everything that is happening on here, we want to run it on here just to make sure that everything is good. The result is, and then we're going to say result 3. And then we're going to say the result of the subtraction is, the result of the subtraction is curly brackets. Remember, I specified curly brackets, and then I say result 4. So I'm gonna run it, guys. I'm gonna run it just so you guys can see exactly what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna run it. Enter a number 5, and then we have. Let me clear this to make this look more because I don't like this. I don't like this. So I'm gonna leave a space here, and then I'm gonna leave a space here. Oh, a space here. So I think this looks more professional to leave in a space, so that way when we run it, we can see exactly what's happening. So enter a number. I like the cleanliness. I like everything. So we're gonna say 67. Enter a number 67, and now we have the result of the multiplication is 4,556. Where's the? You are not my dad. So the result of the multiplication is 456. The result of the division is 68.0. The result of the addition is 201, and the result of the subtraction is 67. So it seems like everything is running, but let's run it one more time to make sure our accept code runs. Enter a number, and then we're gonna say 667, and yep, enter an acceptable number, and then we have the final piece of code that says I'm always gonna run Forrest Gump. So as you guys see, my finally also showed up. So my finally also showed up because, like I said, finally always runs. So I think this is it for this video. This probably will be the last video, the last video of this completely free Python PCEP certification. Trying to think if I should do one more example, or this should be enough for you to be able to pass your PCEP certification with all the courses, that I have out there for you. What do you guys think? What do you guys chat? What do you guys think? Should I put one more example, or is it clear what try does? Is it clear what try, except, and finally does? One more example? Okay, one more example, boss. One more example. I see that boss is saying one more example. I got you, big boss. I got you. I'm going to delete everything. I'm going to delete exactly everything. And then remember, try, except, finally keywords. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do the try, So this is going to make you clear. Try is a keyword that allows you to run code that you might think is wrong. So what try does is a keyword that allows you to run a code that you might think is wrong. So basically what I use try for is like, I have 300 lines of code. I have a script of 300 lines of code, and I don't want it to break. I don't want to break anything. I don't want to like, I want to make some changes. But if I do something wrong, then it will break. But if I do try, except it's not gonna break. It's not gonna break. Basically, that's what it's gonna do. So remember, I start calling that function. So define, we're gonna say this function, let's say, when can I use this? We're gonna call this function define. Right now it's the World Cup, so we're gonna say world underscore cup. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Def World Cup. So I have def World Cup. Remember, I start with parentheses. I have my function. I can do whatever I want inside there, but in this case, we're doing try. So we're doing try, colon, and then we're gonna say num underscore one equals. Remember, every time I do inside the try is a keyword that allows you to run code that you might think is wrong. So basically that's what try does. And then I'm gonna make another except is a keyword except is a keyword that triggers something, that triggers something. So except it will be a keyword that is going to trigger something always. So num1, we're going to say equals float. We're going to say floating value input parentheses. Basically right here, I'm going to ask the user to type something. No, well, let's say teams. We're going to say team equals, or team underscore one, team equals underscore one. And then I'm going to delete this. I'm going to make this with team. So team underscore one input parentheses, enter a team, enter your favorite team. Enter your favorite team. So we're going to use the user to enter your favorite team. And then we're going to say num1, num underscore one. What is, and then we're going to ask the user float. We're going to say a floating value parentheses input, and then we're going to do parentheses. Just because we're gonna say like, what is the probability of your team to win? We're gonna do a program that checks what's the probability for your team to win. What do you think is the probability of your team to win World Cup? What do you think is the probability of your team to win the World Cup? Simple, guys. Simple. So we have the try. So remember, try, what it does is allows me to check something that I might think is wrong, correct? So that's basically what try does. That's basically what try does. So we can say result equals, we're gonna say num underscore one, which is whatever he thinks is the probability of his team running, minus 30. Minus 30. We're gonna divide the probability of his team winning to 30%. So we're gonna say that he has 30%, or we're gonna say that this is the probability of your team winning the World Cup. So okay, we have that. We have our try. We're gonna print parentheses. the probability of your team winning the World Cup is, the probability of your team winning the World Cup is, and then I want to say comma result, comma the result. So remember, I want to include the except. Every time I use the try, I have to include except. Every time I use try, I have to include except. Am I still here? Chat, am I still on the stream? Chat, is the still stream going? Chat, is the stream still going? It seemed like it broke for a little bit. It seems like the stream broke for a little bit, but I don't think so. Yeah, okay. The stream's still going. I thought the stream ended, but we're about to finish. We're about to finish the stream for today. So we're on the except. So except enter. We're gonna say print enter a valid probability. Enter a valid. What do you think is the probability of your team? What do you think is the probability from 50 to 80%, from 50 to 100%? Where's the percentage? We're gonna say percent of your team winning the World Cup. What do you think is the probability of your team winning the World Cup? Enter. So we're gonna say enter a valid probability. So if, let's say, if the user types some letters except value error, except a value error, enter a value probability, and then I want to show the finally. Remember, finally, I'm gonna do comment right here. Finally is a keyword that is always going to run. Finally is a keyword that is always going to run. And then finally, we're going to say finally colon print parenthesis the good luck on your team. Good luck to your team. Good luck to your team. So we're gonna say good luck to your team. Finally, always do like that. And then what we can do, we can run it. And as you guys see, nothing really worked. This is my first time watching. Thank you, Big Boss. Thank you for being here. Like I said, this is the last episode. I throw an episode of I made a complete free Python course for free. Everything is for free, boss. Like, I'm not charging everything. I'm not charging like anything at all, Big Boss. I made it for free. I did all of this for free. I work on it for free. But just for people that want to learn Python or want to take their PCEP certification, which is the Python Certified Entry-Level Programmer. And then you can land a job. You can land a job as a programmer. You learn, you get certified, and then you land a job, all for free. So all I ask is you subscribe. So thank you for the positivity. I really enjoy. This is why I do it, just for people like that want to learn. So thank you, Big Boss. Thank you. So let's finish this. Let's finish this one for today, and this should be it. Our next episode is gonna be practice questions. Our next 3 episodes I'm only gonna focus on practice questions, so you can prepare for specific questions that you will see on your PCEP certification. So, yep. So let's continue with this. Let's continue. Print good luck with your team. We have to call the functions World Cup. We're gonna call the World Cup and then parentheses. So we're gonna say World Cup parentheses. Simple. Enter. enter, and then we're gonna run it. And then we're gonna move this a little bit up so you guys can see. So you guys can see what happens. Enter your favorite team, and then we're gonna say that our favorite team is Japan. And then our program asks us to enter our favorite team, and then it says, what do you think is the probability from 50 to 100% of your team winning the World Cup? I'm gonna say that I think my team is gonna win 100%. Let's say I'm gonna say that my team is gonna win 100%. And then our program says the probability of your team winning the World Cup is 70%. Good luck to your team. So basically all our program did was deleted 30 points of whatever probability we think our team is going to work. And then like you guys see, it did our finally. We can check our value error. So we're going to run this. And then what is your favorite team? This time we're going to say Ecuador. Ecuador, what do you think is the probability from 50 to 100 to win? We're going to say 80. And then the probability of your team is 50% of winning, you know? So we're going to CLS, we're going to clear. And then, yep, everything seems to run. Like we can check the enter a valid probability thing. So we're going to say, what is your favorite team? We're going to say Mexico. And then we're going to say that 100%. Enter a valid probability. So it did some stuff. So you guys see. So I see some comments on the question. Can you tell me about yourself? And brother, what do you do? Yeah. So basically, this is it for the video. Simple dude. I'm college guy. Learning as you guys. Been working in IT for a couple of years. Have some IT experience. Nothing crazy, guys. Just a simple dude, a creator of the IT world. I'm the creator of the IT world. I made this PCEP certification course just because I was looking when I was studying for mine. I was looking for stuff and I couldn't find much stuff for PCEP certification. So I decided to make this channel for people to like fix any problem or like any stuff that for free, you know, because a lot of the stuff, they sell all this stuff. So I'm just a college dude learning as you guys. Nothing crazy, big boss. I'm learning. I'm trying to become a cloud engineer. That's what I'm trying to do. So have some experience, some IT experience, but nothing crazy, guys. Been doing this for so many years, so you guys can believe me on the things I said, because I've been working on IT for around 10 plus years working in IT, guys. I'm not a programmer. I can program, I can code, I can do it, but it's not my main thing. Like my main thing is not a programmer, but I can code whatever you guys want me to code. But yeah, this is basically a simple guy studying. I'm still in college, so I'm still studying. And like I said, I've been working on IT and information technology for around 10 plus years. So thank you guys. Thank you all. Thank you, Big Boss, for being here. Like I said, all I ask is subscribe to the channel. And this is it for today. This is it for this episode. On the next episode, we're gonna be focusing on one thing, and this is practice questions. So our next 3 episodes for this Python certification course is only gonna focus on practice questions for you to pass your PCEP certification. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all the support. Thank you. Like I said, all I asked was for you to subscribe. So if you were here, go back to the beginning, watch the stream, watch it, and good luck on your PCEP certification. Good luck if you're learning Python. And the next 3 episodes are going to be practice questions for you guys. Practice questions. So